All right, friends, so you're going to need some materials today, like maybe a ruler, glue, pencil, and scissors. And when you're getting your colored paper out, I would recommend using maybe a blue for your sky. So I'm going to choose to use maybe purple, because that's one of my favorite colors for my buildings. So since we're turning our paper horizontal or wide, so it's like a long, like wide city, we're gonna be using our other paper for our skyscrapers and buildings turn that way too. So I'm gonna draw on here some buildings, and you can use your ruler or some other straight edge to help you. So maybe for this first building, I'll use the side of my paper, and then I'll use this other side. And I'm just gonna make the building, and I'll use a marker so it's easier for you friends to see. Just gonna use my marker, draw a building, kind of like a rectangle, I can imagine. So the buildings can be all different sizes and shapes, especially at the top is really cool. So I'm gonna do this one kind of like a triangle-y kind of pointed top. So I can just take my ruler, do a dot, and then connect it. And it doesn't have to be super realistic, which is part of the fun. So you can have one building that's maybe pointy, you can do another building, and I'm just gonna draw some lines. This building could be a little shorter. Maybe this one will be kind of interesting, like have a cool curve kind of top going on the side here, where it kind of swoops down. And maybe my third building, it could be like kind of stacked, meaning it can kind of just go like almost like stairs. So I did my buildings all together so I could have them be quite large. You don't want them to fill up the whole paper though, because you want some gaps in between the buildings. So I'm going to cut out my paper. All right, friends, so I still have some extra purple paper for my buildings. Don't throw this out in case you need it for other details, like adding cars or other things to your artwork. So I now have my blue background paper, and I have 3 buildings. And if you wanted to make more, you could, but I think 3 is a nice number for the size of paper. So I'm going to be gluing my buildings down, and you want to leave some spaces in between them because the buildings are all separate. So you can arrange it however you would like. And if you want to change them up or fix them up, you can. If your buildings you think are too wide, you can always give them a trim. You want to make sure that your buildings are rectangles and not squares. Like, they're not houses, they're tall skyscrapers. Just like if you ever go to Philadelphia or New York, you can see these are very tall buildings. So part of the fun is to arrange it on your paper in a way that you like. So just do make sure that you leave some spaces between your buildings. And once you're happy with your building shapes, you may glue them down using any kind of glue that you have. And if you want to change things up as you're going, maybe you think about, oh, maybe I can add some stuff to my sky. I think I'm going to make my one building a little shorter, which could look cool. So then I can add like some things in my sky, like clouds. So it's something that you can change up as you go a little bit. Have fun with it. Make sure it's all super glued down there well. And you can use a little bit of touch-ups, that's fine. So I have my buildings, and right now they don't really look all that detailed. They're kind of just like boring kind of buildings. So now you're gonna just take your other piece of paper, and I would recommend using something really bright. So orange or yellow or bright colors. I always think of noises as, it's like cities are noisy, and like bright colors can kind of be like really happy and vibrant and noisy. So I'm thinking cool colors for the buildings, like, and then maybe some warm colors for the windows would be cool to do, like neat to do. So for my buildings, I want to try to do different kinds of windows for each building because they're different. I don't want to just do squares. So I think it would be neat to try different shapes, like maybe I'll try some triangle-y shapes for one of them. So I'm thinking it would be cool if we left some room at the bottom. So I wanted to initially use these for this building, but maybe it's not the best fit, so I can just switch it. So I'm going to do another shape for my other windows. And for this one, I'm thinking I'll just maybe use some of these pieces that I used from this one to cut some rectangles and squares. So it's good to not waste paper. And I didn't glue these down yet because I can always change up my ideas, which is the really neat thing about artwork. Things like little tiny scraps of paper. If you don't think that you can use them in other spots, you can throw that out. But large chunks of paper, you can definitely keep and use it for other parts of the project. Just glue them down. So however you liked to arrange them, I would glue down your windows. Once you have everything glued down, you can keep your project in a safe spot, and next class we will add other details like clouds and streets and people and cars. Thanks, friends.